Hi everyone, welcome to today's mini workshop where we're going to be looking at how to rediscover your brilliance. Hi guys, Evette here. Guys, I am so excited to be diving into this wonderful, fun mini workshop where we're going to be looking at how to rediscover your brilliance. Now, guys, also quickly for those of you who are new here, my name is Evette Rose. I'm also the author and the founder of Metaphysical Anatomy, which is a big book of 679 medical ailments. And this book is designed to help you to know and understand the psychosomatic stress behind ailments and also psychological stress that's taking place in the body as well. So your body is talking. Are you listening? And of course, we have one for children as well. Your ancestry is talking. Are you listening? We also have intuitive body workshops coming up. Learn how to read the body like a book. And of course, also my MAC level 1 trauma release healing course, which you're going to absolutely love, which is based on this big book that I've written. And the intuitive spirit guide courses as well that's coming up. 4 days of intensive, amazing work, reconnecting back to your divinity and also healing and working from that platform and learning how to become a medium, whether you believe that you can or not. I'm going to show you that you can. Guys, right, let's get started. I'm really looking forward to this little mini workshop where we're going to actually be diving really fast and we're going to be checking out where and how do we get disconnected from such a beautiful essence of ourselves that we were born with. This is something that is your absolute divine birthright. This is not something that you have to go out and create. It's already there. This is all about rediscovering. That's why I use the word specifically, rediscovering your brilliance. Because at the end of the day, you might ask me, well, what is it exactly that we are going to be rediscovering? Brilliance sounds like a really fancy word. So I agree. So at the end of the day, your brilliance is just that magnificent essence of who and what you are. If you didn't have certain pain points in your life that maybe was suppressing some beautiful talents that you have, this part of you that just shines, this part of you that's just untainted by negative influence, who would you have become if you didn't perhaps have all this negative feedback from your life? Because guys, after birth, life's going to happen. There's no manual, there's no download explaining to you how to handle life. We just have to navigate it as absolutely best as we can. And of course, with the best tools and resources, meaning our parents, meaning our environment, because they are our resources and tools until we get to find our feet at some point and we can start to make our own decisions. We can start to find our own way of life and values and beliefs. Now, at the end of the day, if this platform is unhealthy, of course, it can cause a lot of distress. It can cause a lot of incongruency, lack of coherence within us. Meaning, when we are bored, we already have this downloaded platform, like this template of who we are. Right? We have our inheritance from our ancestry. We have inheritance. If you believe in past lives, you can bring that into the equation as well. But also that beautiful divine essence of the soul. So we have all of that already. Now, the thing here with all of this is when we look at this platform, normally this platform comes in as untainted also by the ego, hormones, strong emotions, and so forth. Now, to stay true to that template, that's the hardest part. Because now that template is introduced into a physical body that now has to, cope with instinctive responses. It can feel lack, it can feel deprivation, it can feel attacked or abused, whatever the platform could be that perhaps your life played out on. These elements and these aspects can affect this beautiful essence of who you are, which is your brilliance. Call it the soul, call it your magnificence, call it that part of you that's just so beautifully talented. And we're going to be looking at how to tap into this. So let's first of all just look at certain, commonly shared pain points, such as why and how can we disconnect from this? Well, one of many reasons is fear of failure. right? Your brilliance is coming through because you feel, wow, I want to do this. I want to get this job. I want to, achieve this goal. I want to create this amazing lifestyle for myself. But the moment when we actually want to take action, that's when we feel frozen in fear. Now, normally one of the biggest fears and complaints that we have in life is fear of failure. And that is absolutely one that I 100% can very much relate to. I get it. And it's real. It's a very real fear. But this fear also is coming forward because of negative feedback that we perhaps had during times when we did try to do something, or maybe we did do something and we had our heart set so much on the outcome and we didn't, or we were not able to create the outcome that we wanted. Of course, it's going to trigger a fear of failure, but that is because we were setting up a goal and we were more emotionally attached to how that goal is going to make us feel at the end of the day, because it would have perhaps fulfilled a certain unmet need, or maybe fulfill a self-esteem challenge that we might have. Hence why when we fail at something, it can feel so much more painful and so much harder, because we didn't get that ultimate fulfillment that we wanted and needed. And I have absolutely noticed and learned in my life that when I create something from a place of lack and when I fail, oh my God, that failure it feels 1,000 times harder. It's strong and it hurts. So this is one of many aspects that can also hinder us from really truly stepping into our brilliance, really letting that shine, because it's there. We just don't let it shine because of fear. And also another point is, one of the most famous also is uncertainty. Oh, uncertainty. I hate the fear of the unknown. Who doesn't like it? A lot of people can go, yeah, this is fun, let's go all in. But sometimes also you have to ask the question, are you going into it all in, just holding your breath, crossing your fingers and seeing what's going to happen? Normally people who like to do that, they tend to also be people who are high risk takers, and it could be extreme sports, it can be high risk decisions. And this normally can come from that euphoria, that adrenaline that we also love, that could be that quick little escape from perhaps certain stress that we feel in life. And sometimes this approach can work. Listen, guys, let me tell you, there have been things in my life where I just said yes and I didn't even think about it. Absolutely. 80% of the time it actually worked out really well, and 20% of the time it was just absolute mess, like a real mess. But anyway, let's put that all aside. All done and dusted, all done. And so another point also here that we can have is lack of confidence. I've also had that. I get that. It sucks. Now, at the end of the day, when we look at lack of confidence, you also have to ask yourself the question, who did you need to believe in you that didn't, that made you feel now I can do what I wanted or needed to do? That's an important question, because normally there can be a pain point that needs to be resolved. And when it's resolved, boom, you can snap a little bit back more and faster back into your brilliance as well. Now, lack of confidence can also come from comparison. I've done that as well. I'm thinking, wow, my God, that person doing this thing so good. Who am I to think that I can also do that? Or, wow, I just finished the study and I want to dive into that. And wow, everyone is just accelerating. Who am I to think that I can also accelerate with this group of people? Right? So we're always comparing ourselves to others, but I always laugh when I do that to myself, because I'm thinking to myself, Evette, why are you doing it? Because at the end of the day, if I was meant to be these people, then I would have been them, and I'm not. So stop trying to be someone or live up to someone else's way of life. You have your own unique traits and talents and isms and signature to life. Let's embrace what we have, because we all have strengths. We absolutely all have strength, regardless of how much of a failure you think you are. All these false beliefs are just sometimes so strong, they're so heavy, that we don't really see beyond that, because when that pain point is so big, we can't see beyond it. This is what the reticular activating system, the RAS, does. When you have constant negative thoughts about yourself or how you're feeling, we have at least 90,000 thoughts per day. And then at least 70,000 thoughts of those 90,000 thoughts are repeated the next day. So guys, what do you think is happening? Normally, what will be repeated the next day are the negative predominant thoughts that you have. What does it mean? Whoa, we're probably carrying over all the negative thoughts with us into the next day. And now what happens is your RAS starts to become a vibrancy match, like a frequency match, and it's starting to filter in all the things that you are focusing on. So if you're focusing on lack, fear of, fear of failure, feeling uncertain, feeling that I will never have control, I'm always feeling vulnerable when I try to do something, the imposter syndrome, we all have had this. Now, the universe is going to be showing you all the people and things is going to continue to exasperate the emotional stress that you're feeling, right? You might find yourself connecting more with people that's going to make you feel small. You might find yourself connecting more with people that's going to dive into and just hit that insecurity. And you feel like you're sinking even more and more and more. That is why it is so fundamentally important to start to break consciously through mindfulness living these thinking habits and patterns, because that alone can already greatly improve your quality of life. Because the feedback from your environment, that becomes your reference for what you think that you're capable of. And how we deal with this feedback, that is now what's either going to make or break you. Now, sometimes this negative feedback can motivate people, but now you also have people who might see this feedback as feedback that can actually break them, and they feel, well, if they don't believe in me, then who am I? Right? So someone else's criticism, judgment becomes our truth. How sad is that? Because that truth is not even our truth. And whose truth is it? It's truth that comes from a traumatized, filtered perspective of someone else who probably barely knows you. And when I say barely knows you, very few people knows what's going on in someone else's heart. We can blather, we can talk, we can have intellectual understandings, but it doesn't mean that we have that real heart-centered connection and understanding. So always keep that in mind as well. Now, at the end of the day, we also can lose confidence, right? So this is also that thing that can disconnect us from this brilliance, is that we lose confidence, right? And that means that we haven't become resilient in a certain activity that we might have liked, or a certain activity that, but it might not even have been an activity. It can be an event, it can be a traumatic event, or it can just be a stressful event. But something happened that you were not able to overcome. And this challenged your competency, your feeling of adequacy within yourself. So if you feel inadequate in yourself during certain events or activities or projects or goals, of course you're going to feel, well, I can't do it because in the past I couldn't. So what makes me think that I can do it now? That means we haven't built a certain level of resiliency. So in cases like that, take a step back. Start with smaller projects. Build your confidence. Tick those boxes. And then you're going to see yourself rising up back to the place where you can now reconnect back to that goal or that project, and you're going to find yourself having a much more positive and confident attitude. I know people think, well, what's the quickest way, Evette? Well, sometimes there's just not. And let me tell you, I am the queen of shortcuts. I love shortcuts. If there's going to be a shortcut, guys, I'm going to find it. And I've just come to learn with this one, it just doesn't always work. Some people might say, well, just close your eyes, take a deep breath and just jump and just do it. Like that Nike sign, just do it. Well, this works for some people, but it might not work for others. Now, here's why. For some people, it might work because they jump into it and they don't get rattled by their fears, and they, really try to zone into getting the problem resolved or working through their fears. And maybe they overcome it successfully, which means now the body starts to realize, well, I can do this. I can do this. The body's like, yeah, we can. And for other people, it can actually break them even more, because they might actually collapse under all the pressure and stress. So that's something to also keep in mind of. Now, at the end of the day, taking action is also part of reconnecting to our brilliance, right? It's not just going to come back by itself, but also now uncertainty is also connected to taking action, which we already discussed. So that is our fear of loss. Now, this can be fear of losing control. It can be fear of losing a relationship, anything that basically involves loss. Now, when we look at action, right? Now, action requires some level of effort. So that means the investment that we're also putting into this, whether it's energetically, whether it's financially, and most often it is actually both. Now, there's always this risk of loss, and our energy and financial resources are connected to our most primal survival responses and our nervous system. So that is all connected to prior memories that we have associated with taking action. creating something that is now connected to ourselves, our vision, our desires, and also our goals. Now, when in the past, this, for example, was attacked or criticized, or there was negative feedback, then of course we can start to question these actions that we took in the past. And the thought of taking action again can be extremely debilitating. Now, just the initial thought of wanting to take action, of course, it sounds great. It's positive. But then the negative memories can creep in back from prior experiences. And this is now experiences that we've had with negative feedback when we, for example, set our minds to something. And now the body remembers the stressful experiences. Even if you consciously, cognitively cannot remember it, your subconscious mind does. That's called explicit memories. Now, your emotional body also does remember. Hence why I wrote that big book, Metaphysical Anatomy. Your body's talking. Are you listening? The body also stores memories. So what do? We end up sabotaging patterns. We start to sabotage goals that we're trying to set for ourselves because we have this negative memory coming up. We don't remember the actual memory. We just feel physiologically this negativity and anxiety when we want to do something. And we think, oh, well, maybe that's my intuition warning me of something bad that's going to happen. And now we have a confusion between our intuition and whether something really truly is just from the past. And then what do? We feel uncertain. Now we have all these fears coming up: fear of loss, fear of failure, all these things. And sometimes for most people, it's better to just not take action. And then we don't connect to our brilliance. So guys, there you have it for this mini workshop. If you want to finish this course, then please go to mapmembers.com, sign up, go to webinar replays, and you can join us for the questions that we're going to be diving into, as well as our little healing session at the end. So join us there for the rest of this mini workshop. See you there.